Hello everyone, I'm Rick Neuheisel, and welcome to Varsity Days. Our historians here at the Pac-12 Network have unearthed rare films of a bygone era, films that share the great tradition that has made the Pac-12 the Conference of Champions. The year, 1979. Pittsburgh was the city of champions as both the Steelers and the Pirates won titles. While on the music charts, everybody was listening to My Sharona by an LA band called the Knack. On the conference front, the Pac-8 had become the Pac-10 in 1978, but the added schools could do little to stop USC as the Trojans rolled to a share of the 1978 national title. It is against that backdrop we present to you, in its original format, the 1979 Pac-10 season preview. This program looks ahead to the season and features a fantastic crop of players, such as USC All-American Charles White. So let's get started. Here's your host, Bill Flemming.
This is the 1979 Pac-10 Football Preview, brought to you by General Motors Parts Division, who'd like to remind you to keep that great GM feeling with genuine GM parts. The 1979 Pac-10 Football Preview features the Trojans of USC, coached by John Robinson, the Bruins of UCLA, coached by Terry Donahue, the Huskies of Washington, coached by Don James, the Sun Devils of Arizona State, coached by Frank Kush, the Cardinals of Stanford, coached by Rod Donhauer, the Golden Bears of California, coached by Roger Theater, the Wildcats of Arizona, coached by Tony Mason, the Ducks of Oregon, coached by Rich Brooks, the Beavers of Oregon State, coached by Craig Purdy, and the Cougars of Washington State, coached by Jim Walton. Hi, I'm Bill Flemming. During this next half hour, we're going to be taking a look at what's in store in Pac-10 football this fall in the light of the returning stars to the various schools. First of all, we would like, however, to pay tribute to those seniors who were named to the All-Pac-10 team. This is the consensus team of 1978, a very select group, only 7 men. From Arizona State, Al Harris, defensive end. From Washington, Jeff Taves, offensive tackle, Michael Jackson, linebacker. From Washington State, Jack Thompson, the quarterback. From UCLA, Jerry Robinson, linebacker, Manu Tuiasosopo, middle guard. And from USC, Pat Howell, offensive guard. To those men, we say congratulations. In just a moment, then, we'll be taking a look at the returning stars, the men of '79. When you talk about men who can run with the football, the first name that comes to mind is the Pac-10 most valuable player of 1978, Charles White of the University of Southern California. He enters his senior year as the all-time rusher in Pac-10 history with nearly 4,200 yards. Just like the glorious Trojan tailbacks before him, Charles White is an extraordinarily durable runner. He can reel off the long runs. Or if he has to, he can go up and over on the inside. Look for Charles White to have his best year yet in '79. The Cardinals of Stanford boast an explosive runner in Darren Nelson, who can break a game wide open. His stutter step moves make it almost impossible for one man to stop him. Oftentimes, it takes a whole gang of tacklers to bring him down. Last year as a sophomore, he became Stanford's career rushing leader. But how effective he'll be in '79 probably won't be known until he gets a taste of combat in the first couple of games. He had surgery for a torn hamstring tendon, which he suffered while competing in track in the spring. Doctors do expect a full recovery, and Cardinal fans have their fingers crossed. They know they need Darren Nelson in the lineup to make a run for the championship. At Arizona, if fullback Hubert Oliver is unable to find a hole, he'll cut back the other way, explode into the secondary, and leave behind a trail of would-be tacklers. Oliver is a surprisingly quick athlete for somebody who weighs more than 200 pounds. He's led the Wildcats in rushing in each of his 2 years on the team. 50 of those yards last year came on this touchdown gallop against the Washington State Cougars. Sharing the Wildcat load with Oliver this year is number 48, Larry Heater, who rushed for almost 800 yards a year ago despite missing 2 full games with an injury. Oregon football fans are anxiously awaiting the 1979 performance of tailback Dwight Robertson. He averaged 24 yards a kickoff return last year and also tied a Duck scoring record with 3 touchdowns against Oregon State. And in the same backfield with him is another outstanding runner, number 41, Vince Williams. At Washington, Joe Steele returns for his senior season, knowing that he needs only 103 yards to shatter the Husky career rushing record held by the legendary Hugh McElhaney. To go with Steele, the Huskies have a bulldozer fullback at number 45, Toussaint Tyler. 2 years ago, with a super rushing game, the Huskies won the Pac-10 championship. Last year, they just missed. They're definitely going to be a contender in '79. 2 of the most powerful legs in the state of California belong to fullback Paul Jones of the Golden Bears. His legs are his weapons, his passport into enemy end zones. He's a punishing runner at 6'2", 225, and he's been a workhorse at California for 2 years. If he picks up slightly more than 1,000 yards in '79, he'll finish his career as the Golden Bears' all-time leading rusher ahead of Chuck Muncie. When you talk about outstanding runners, you must certainly include Oregon State's Steve Corey. His broken field punt returns have thrilled Beaver fans who this year are expecting the same kind of excitement from a cast of highly regarded running backs. From this group, which Coach Craig Fertig labels the best he's ever had, is number 30, Mike Smith. He, along with Tim Sim, Darrell Minor, and Tony Robinson, are part of the bright football future that lies ahead at Oregon State. Because of graduation, there'll be almost an entire new look at UCLA. They've switched to the I formation. That's to take advantage of number 31, Freeman McNeil, who has averaged more than 5 yards a carry in his first 2 years with the Bruins. With McNeil in the lineup, UCLA knows they have the capability of going all the way anytime he's carrying the ball. At Washington State, Tali Ina is a running back with a catchy name and an eye-catching running style. He makes it look so easy. He can shrug off a tackler without even breaking stride. How about a full-circle pirouette? A year ago, Tali Ina led the Cougars in rushing and averaged an impressive 5.5 yards a carry. The Cougars also have another fine runner, number 31, Ray Williams, a man with sprinter speed. He broke one for 75 yards last year, one of the longest runs in Washington State history. At Arizona State, number 9, Alvin Moore, heads a list of runners that is awesome. Moore can blast through a hole and leave a defense wondering where he went. On sweeps around the end, the Sun Devils like to call on their fastest ball carrier, number 24, Robert Weathers. He'll fight you for every precious yard. Then there's number 29, Newton Williams, a high stepper with straight-ahead power. And if you like the kind of runner who just will not quit, you're bound to like number 37, Gerald Riggs. And so the word is out. Look out for the runners in the Pac-10. As we all know, variety is the spice of life, and quarterbacks and receivers supply it in abundance, as we'll see. The Trojans of Southern California are blessed with a quarterback in Paul McDonald, who can put the men of Troy on the scoreboard from just about any place on the field. Often, the passes from his strong left arm are aimed at number 8, Kevin Williams, a gifted wide receiver who specializes in those spectacular fingertip catches. This is just about as perfect a pass as you'll ever see. Williams stands only 5'8", but that can be deceiving. He's also got blinding speed. Last year, he caught 17 passes, 10 for touchdowns. Paul McDonald returns as the nation's #1 ranked quarterback, according to NCAA statistics. His 19 TD passes last year, like this one to number 85, James Hunter, brought the Trojans their 5th national championship. They'll bid for number 6 in '79. Meanwhile, crosstown at Westwood, UCLA's quarterback, Rick Bayshore, returns as the Bruins starter for the 3rd straight year. Bayshore puts that added pressure on the defense because he's a scrambler, always a threat to run with the ball. Last year, he carried more than 100 times and led the Bruins in touchdowns, rushing with 8. UCLA fans well remember Bayshore's passing ability in '77. That's when he became only the 2nd sophomore in UCLA history to pass for more than 1,000 yards. This year, he's going to be throwing to some talented receivers like Michael Brandt, Scott Teasing, Freeman McNeil, and the big tight end on the receiving end of this one, number 91, Tim Reitman. How the Bruins fare in '79 will depend largely on how well they move in the air. California has a wide-open offense with quarterback Rich Campbell and a group of swift receivers, which should be a surefire combination. Campbell's explosive long passes to number 18 Holden Smith are indeed a thing to behold. Last year, Smith averaged close to 25 yards a catch, tops in the nation. Campbell has already made an assault on the California record book, and he's closing in on the career passing records held by Craig Morton, Steve Bartkowski, and Joe Roth. In '79, Campbell will also throw to his big fullback, number 46, Paul Jones, who's caught 49 passes in the last 2 years. And when it's time for the game breaker, the Golden Bears just might spring this man, number 99, Floyd Eddings. However, there's still some question about how effective he's going to be this fall, and that depends on how his knee holds up after surgery. At Stanford, the spotlight shines on split end Ken Marjoram, whose secret of spectacular catches is his total and absolute concentration on the ball. Marjoram led all Pac-10 receivers with 53 catches. He chalked up 9 touchdowns, and in one-on-one situations, he is practically unstoppable. But Stanford's thrower, Steve Dills, who led the nation in passing, is gone. His inexperienced replacement is Turk Schonert, who'll certainly take advantage of other receivers like number 25, Andre Tyler. And if number 31, Darren Nelson, is healthy, he'll continue to terrorize the opposition with catches out of the backfield. He recorded 50 receptions in each of his last 2 years. Coach Rich Brooks of Oregon is looking for brighter things to happen there, but one couldn't fault him if he has some questions about his passing game. Number 41, Vince Williams, is a superb receiver, but Brooks might eventually have to flip a coin to determine who his number 1 quarterback's going to be. Battling it out are Tim Durando, Andrew Page, Kevin Lusk, and Reggie Ogburn, a talented group. At Oregon State, there are plenty of Smith boys to confuse the issue. There's number 22, Tim Smith, number 30, Mike Smith, and the Smith who triggers the Beaver passing game. He wears number 15. His name is Steve Smith. After transferring from junior college a year ago, Smith quickly began to fulfill his potential, and near the end of the '78 season, he led the Beavers to big wins over Washington State and UCLA. Again, his primary target, number 44, Steve Corey. Quickness is Corey's specialty. If he catches you out of position, here's what could happen. A touchdown for Oregon State. Look for Corey to lead the Beavers in receiving for the 3rd year in a row. Washington State will probably have Steve Grant as Jack Thompson's replacement at quarterback. He'll have a sure-handed receiver in number 21, Jim Whatley, who never seems to give up. Whatley will also drive you crazy with his fancy footwork. There's another Cougar quarterback candidate who has a name that's a little hard to believe. He is Samoa, a junior from Long Beach, California. Whoever gets that quarterback post will be throwing to a fine receiver in number 86, Mike Wilson. At Washington, they're expecting quarterback Tom Porras to provide the Huskies with a much more effective passing game in '79. He learned his lessons well from last year, and his performance this past spring was truly outstanding. With a veteran offensive line anchored by center Tom Tenor, Porras will be given plenty of time to throw the ball to the Huskies' top receiver in '78, number 22, flanker Keith Richardson. One thing is certain about Porras, he has the ability to generate a lot of offense. The Huskies last year were the highest scoring team in Pac-10 competition. Arizona State has the luxury of a quarterback with many talents, Mark Malone. 6 feet 4 inches tall, 220 pounds, he can maneuver into throwing position. And he can fire long, like this one, to number 88, John Missler. Mark Malone can also run with the ball. Last year, he led the Sun Devils in both rushing and passing. So with men like Malone and number 24, Robert Weathers, there'll be some hootin' and hollerin' in Tempe in '79. At Arizona, Jim Cron is the absolute classic example of an option quarterback. Setting up for what appears to be a pass, Cron will keep the ball and smoothly slip away. Last year, he rushed for 335 yards. These are some of the offensive specialists who make Pac-10 football so exciting. There's also the kind of Pac-10 specialist who can stop the clock in the final seconds of a game. Men like place kicker Karen Walford of Oregon State. This dramatic 27-yard field goal with just seconds remaining defeated the Washington State Cougars by the score of 32-31. Once again, Karen Walford had come through in a tense situation, and he returns to the Beavers in '79. Number 10, Peter Boermeister of UCLA provided another spectacular finish. A last-minute field goal under the bright lights of the Coliseum gave the Bruins a wild 27-26 victory over Stanford. Kickers like Boermeister, Walford, Neighbors, Zivick, and Lansford will all play important roles in Pac-10 football in '79, as will the men on defense. Oregon's Vince Goldsmith is a man who loves to play defense. Nothing satisfies him more than sacking a quarterback. Goldsmith can stop a play before it develops. Oregon's front four consists of Goldsmith, Mike Kessler, Terry Dion, and number 90, Neil Elshire. Their aggressive style of play has prompted the Ducks to come up with a new football slogan in '79, "The Rush is On." There are many in the Pac-10 who enjoy the thrill of playing defense, like Stanford linebacker Tom Hall, number 58, who returned this interception 49 yards against the UCLA Bruins. And also from Stanford, a young man at the top of your screen, number 89, Chuck Evans, who strips the ball away and then recovers it at the 2-yard line. Evans caused 4 fumbles last year, and Stanford's counting on him to do it again. Look for number 73, Doug Martin of Washington, to be one of the toughest defensive tackles in college football this fall. If you don't block his teammate, number 58, Stafford Mays, he'll tear the shirt right off your back. Kenny Easley of UCLA is the kind of player who can dominate a defense with big plays. Who will ever forget last year in the rain at Husky Stadium when Easley jumped into the Washington end zone, blocked this punt, and then teammate Brian Baggett recovered it for the winning touchdown. UCLA 10, Washington 7. In just 2 years, Easley has made 13 interceptions, tying a Bruin record. And last year as a sophomore, he became a consensus All-American. Easley lines up at free safety because with his speed, he can cover the field. This year, he might have to carry a bigger load because the Bruins have graduated Jerry Robinson, their 3-time All-America player. At Arizona, number 95, Cleveland Crosby, is one big, quick wildcat who can give a quarterback nightmares. Watch him literally steal the ball from number 14, Jack Thompson of Washington State. That was a big play for which Crosby was named the Pac-10 Player of the Week. At Washington State, the partners in crime are number 38, Mel Sanders, and recovering this fumble, number 39, Don Nevels. The Cougars are also quite proud of the mid-air heroics of number 44, John West, a sophomore with a marvelous effort. Oregon State has a hard hitter in Tom Schillinger. And there's no getting away from this eager beaver, number 85, Nick Westerberg. In the Pac-10, they passed the word to be on the alert for number 2, Anthony Washington of California. He picked off 6 interceptions last year for 224 yards. That was tops in the country. And when you throw against Southern California, beware of number 56, Dennis Johnson, an all Pac-10 linebacker with the skills of a defensive back. Speaking of those men who patrol the secondary, the Trojans have a 2-sport star, number 49, Dennis Smith. He had 7 interceptions a year ago. In addition, he high jumped 7 feet in a conference track meet, and that's a rare combination. When defensive end Bob Coors of Arizona State goes to work, his smile disappears. He enjoys splattering enemy ball carriers. His playing partner, number 91, Ben Apuna, can be a tough man to avoid. The hard hitters on defense in the Pac-10 are everywhere. 89, Chuck Evans of Stanford. California's number 70, Darryl Skogstad. And there's more good news at California. 78, Pat Graham, is healthy once again. The swarming defense at Southern Cal can quickly change the momentum of a game. USC fans look forward to number 35, Ricky Gray, and number 63, Ty Sperling. And when it's time for the safety blitz, look out for number 42, Ronnie Lott. Washington's Greg Grimes, number 46, enjoys riding an opponent into the ground. The hitman at UCLA, number 88, Billy Don Jackson. Rarely will you see the running game played any better than right here by number 5, Kenny Easley of UCLA. Perfect execution. At Arizona, number 74, middle guard Jeff Whitten can stop a running back right in his tracks. Some plays are disguised with a man in motion, but that is not enough to trick number 95, Cleveland Crosby of Arizona. Again, on the pursuit, Tom Schillinger of Oregon. Then there's number 38, Mel Sanders of Washington State, a top pass rusher in the Pac-10. The key to stopping a screen pass might simply be a hustling linebacker like number 32, Sam Bush of Washington State. We think you'll agree that the Pac-10 has a wealth of talented men who protect their goal lines. They bring a special brand of excitement to Pac-10 football, which continues to captivate its loyal fans regardless of the weather. The addition of the Arizona schools in 1978 helped the conference set an all-time record in attendance, with each Pac-10 game attracting an average crowd of more than 46,000. And they all enjoyed the football as well as everything that goes with it. All season long, the competition in the Pac-10 was fierce. 6 teams finished with winning records, and 4 of those were ranked among the nation's top 20 in the final polls. As it turned out, no conference in the country sent more teams to bowls than the Pac-10. A total of 4 were selected. Arizona State traveled to the east to play Rutgers in the first Garden State Bowl in New Jersey. The Sun Devils were unstoppable in the second half, won the game 34-18, giving coach Frank Kush another big win in his first year of competition in the Pac-10. At the Fiesta Bowl, UCLA's Bruins battled Arkansas to a 10-10 tie. Bruin quarterback Steve Bukic scored the tying touchdown on this 15-yard run in the fourth quarter. A nice present for his happy teammates on that Christmas Day. In the Bluebonnet Bowl, Stanford quarterback Steve Dills threw 3 TD passes, leading the Cardinals to a 25-22 comeback victory over the Georgia Bulldogs. A great moment for Bill Walsh, who coached the Cardinals for the final time and wound up on the shoulders of his victorious players. Meanwhile, in Pasadena, the Grand Marshal of the Rose Bowl, Lay Leishman, beamed a happy smile as he waved to the huge crowd. On the field, the Pac-10 maintained its dominance over the Big Ten, winning a 5th straight Rose Bowl and the 9th in the past 10 years. This time, USC defeated Michigan 17-10, pushing the Trojans' magnificent Rose Bowl record to 16 wins and only 6 defeats. As they left the field, the Trojans were ecstatic. Later, they would be voted national champions by the UPI Board of Coaches, and no one was any happier than USC coach John Robinson.
4 Pac-10 schools made it to bowl games in 1979. Cal lost to Temple in the Garden State Bowl, while Arizona fell to number 10 Pitt in the Fiesta Bowl. Meanwhile, Washington went 9-3 and defeated Texas in the Sun Bowl. The Huskies would finish the season ranked 11th in both polls. As for USC, well, they cruised to the championship with an undefeated season. But the Trojans did have one slight hiccup along the way, tying Stanford in the Coliseum. That tie would prove costly, as USC would defeat number 1 Ohio State 17-16 in the Rose Bowl, but would still finish number 2 in both polls behind undefeated and untied Alabama. As for All-American running back Charles White, well, he would culminate his fantastic senior season by earning USC's 3rd Heisman Trophy. Hey, we hope you've enjoyed our preview of the 1979 Pac-10 season. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time on Varsity Days.